Hello, hello. I really should just add a timer to this, shouldn't I? Let everybody know when it's actually going. Well, like when I'm actually about to click the button. It's probably a good idea. How's everybody doing today? Simulation is so relaxing. Let's get that closed out and show off what we've got. Probably, yeah. Timer's a good idea. There we go. Right, so first thing that I actually want to do is show off what we've actually got. I stayed up until like 4 o'clock this morning, just messing with the terrain, and this is what we've come up with so far. Also, let's get that running, and this is the stuff that I've just completely forgot to set up. It's on the correct screen. There we go. I love it. There we go. Yes, so this is kind of what I got set up last night. I spent a lot of time just messing around with terrain simulation and terrain generation. It's still extremely basic terrain generation. All I've done is added extra levels for different types of terrain. So this is all still like grass. This is technically forest. And you've got like mountains and stuff. It just looks better and means I can add some more modifications to the tiles. So that's, that's really nice. Yeah, 8-star pathfinding. For this, what I've gone and done is I've got the pathfinding component I was using in my C# projects, and I'm more or less just going to be converting this code over into GD script. So to do that, what I want to do is take a look at my file structure real quick and figure out, do I have? I do not. So let's go and create a new folder. Let's call this the components folder. Even though technically speaking, this is something that should go under the terrain generator as its own unique thing. We're gonna do this the dumb way for now. Just throw up a basic node because it doesn't need to know its own position and things like that. So we will just call this the pathfinding grid because turning it into a component is kind of useless. It only really needs to connect to the terrain generator itself, so it doesn't actually need to be a component, so I can just call it the pathfinding grid. Right, now let's add a script to that. And yeah, this is where it's going to be a bit interesting. So that's going to throw weird issues, isn't it? We'll figure that out when we come to it. First thing I want to do is get a ready function going. Oh yeah, I think I mentioned this. So I'm going to be using A* for this, like the actual built-in A* methods and things like that, because A* is just really, really cool, and you can do a lot of really interesting, interesting pathfinding things with it, where it's like you can read the movement penalty of a tile and adjust movement based off of that and get some proper avoidance in. So let's create our ready function. Let's also go and set up an actual new A* grid. So let's see if my brain is ready to do this. We want a var, we want it to be called A* underscore grid of type A* grid 2D, and set that equal to A* grid 2D.new. That creates our grid. Now we're going to want a pathing variable, so that's going to be an array of vector 2i's. I guess I could just use normal vector 2's. We'll use normal... No, we won't, maybe? Thinking. Benefits of using a vector 2i centers the tile quite well, so yeah, we'll just use a vector 2i, why not? If I need to change it, I'll just change it as we go. Alright, so first thing I want to do is this function here, which is pretty much just setting up the grid. So to do that, what do we need to do? Well, we need to grab a terrain size and a cell size, and then we need to go through the region, the cell size, set the mode up, and update the grid. Grand. That simple. Okay, so let's go set up grid. let's pass through a terrain size, which is a rect2i, and then a cell size. I'm already doing this in like C#. Converting GD script syntax to C# is, or other way around, is messing with my brain still. Right, so a star grid dot region, and we set that equal to the terrain size, and then we set the a star grid dot cell size equal to cell size. Correct the a star grid mode. So diagonal mode, or only if obstacle, or only if no obstacles, basically says, hey, if there is no obstacles, you can move diagonally. If there is an obstacle in that path, you cannot move diagonally, which is very useful. I may end up having to change that in the future because I will be putting in a lot of different obstacles that modify how the grid functions. So we will kind of see as we go with that one. Dot. Go. And now we call the a star grid dot update function, and that updates our grid. So what this has done is this has actually created the a star grid. Now, the reason why we're passing through a rect2 and a cell size rather than just setting it like preset through this means when I can actually build it, which will be done through the terrain generator, it can pass in the sizes that the terrain generator has actually been set to. That way I always have a functioning a star grid regardless of the size and the tile types and things like that, which is really, really useful. So next thing, don't do public, there we go. next thing is the terrain movement. We're going to need that list of cell data passed through, so let's do that. Get terrain movement values. It's going to be an array. We'll call this cell data underscore array just to keep my brain in the right place with this. This will be an array of cell data. There we go. So one thing I did in the last stream here was I set up this. This is cell data. Now this is a new type setting that I've done, which is really simple. But this contains things like the movement cost. Movement cost is really important for a star grid because it needs to register what the movement cost of each individual cell is, and then it can kind of go through that. Ooh, I'm going to need to pass through the position as well. Ooh, that's interesting. So instead of passing through this, I'm actually going to be passing through a dictionary. And this is some of the changes that I made when I was porting it over to GDScript, was instead of using an array, I'm using a dictionary. That way I can have the key as a vector and the value as the actual cell data itself. That way I can keep the positioning and things like that. So first thing we want to do is make sure that our path gets cleared. So the path array.clear. That way we're always having a new, what's your issue with this? Unused parameter, okay. Yeah, that way we're always having a new pathing array, basically. It doesn't just tack on to a new path, it just gives it a new path. So next thing is to basically just do this for loop. So I'm going to have to do what for... Let's see if I can remember how to do dictionary things in this. A star grid dot set point weight scale, and then I need to pass through the cell data dict I, and then the cell data dict. Wait, no, that's wrong, because that's going to be the key value. Ooh. There we go. Just start grabbing the keys and not actually the yeah, that means I can change I to key and make it a little bit more readable. Nice. a star grid dot set underscore point weight scale, and now we just pass through the key because the key is a vector2, and then we pass through the cell data dict key dot movement cost. That should technically work if I call that correctly. Ew, why is that like that? There we go. Slowly updating the code to actually use proper casing. There we go. So that should work. I think that should work. Oh, nothing we can do but try it. So next thing is just getting a valid path. So let's do that. Just two different positions and getting the point in the path, and yeah, going from there. Okay, yeah, that seems simple enough, right? Okay, this is going a lot smoother than I was expecting it to. I think I haven't actually ran this or tried to pathfind with anything yet. So I guess we'll figure that out when it happens. Let's keep going. Kit valid path. Vector2. Am I using vector2 or vector2 eyes? I'm using eyes. We'll just do eye for now. Wait, why have I done that? That's why I've done that. God, I'm not with it today. I'm slowly losing my voice from the streams, and I'm not thinking as clearly as I want to be. Position. I'm not spelling things as clearly as I want to be either. That is correct. Yeah. Okay. Words are now looking weird. Good. Good. How am I going to do that? From ID vector2, pack vector2 array. That should work. Yeah. If anybody has any questions about any of this stuff, by the way, feel free to ask. I'm a little lost and confused. Why is this having an issue? It's because it needs to be... Oh, it's just an indentation issue. Grand. Why am I doing the vector conversion? Hey, Dip. How are you doing? Oh, you're the person that was helping me work on the, we've got a screaming headache. Yeah. That's fair, I get that. I'm slowly losing my voice, so I get you. Yeah, you're the person that helped me with the hunting for items. Like the actual go find thing. I actually fixed that, by the way. I figured out what was wrong. It was literally all working fine. It was just this. It wasn't getting the correct starting position, which was really, really dumb. I don't know why. Every set I could do and it worked. That's always fun. Right now I'm just going through and modifying the code, basically bringing it to GDScript over C#. That just needs to be 32 by 32 because that's half cell size, which centers the, yeah. Yeah, yeah, everything else was just fine. It was just not getting the start position. It was very, very weird. So yeah, conversion wise though, it's going pretty well as well. Like most of this is already converted. This is the new version of the terrain that we're working with. I worked on the generator a little bit and got some better terrain in. It's all just still simple single tile, like single color tiles and things like that, but there's now actual depth to it. So I can actually have like the dark green be forests that spawn trees at a higher rate than say the light green and the lighter green. That way we can have like deep forests and clearings and things like that. Yeah, terrain's coming along well. Project's pretty much going very smoothly. Converting it to GDScript has been smoother than I was kind of anticipating. I was expecting a lot more, I guess, issue with it. Gonna need a movement component. For now, we'll just do... We don't even need to do that for now, do we? Because now I've actually got to go and get this actually... Yeah. Okay, so that should mostly work. What is this? Why are you having issue with this? Field return type can be specified as a pack... no. That should also just be a vector 2. I. There we go. Yeah, that's correct. See, this is something that I can tell you're a man who knows how to treat noise algos. Yeah. To be fair though, here's the actual terrain generation. It's extremely simple. Like the noise generation is extremely simple, and then through like the cell data resource I created a while ago, I'm just messing with the height values here. This isn't the best way of doing it. There are so many better ways of doing it, and this is very prone to, if I mess up with any of these values, it just breaks everything. So yeah, I need to figure out a better way of actually doing this. Yeah, I think with that pathfinding grid set up, we actually need to create the character now. So let's just create a new character body 2D. Call it the colonist base and create a new folder for this stuff. So games, new folder, entity, new folder. What else do I need on this? This is going to scream at me for not having a collision shape, but I really don't want a collision shape. This is going to need a new script for itself. And then I'm going to need to make a movement component as well. Do I just do the movement through the colonist base now? Ooh, so earlier I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about basically using a ref counted object or just a resource for certain components like movement and things like that, things that don't need any visual at all. And it's something I'm thinking about, something that might be fun to implement. That might be something I just do randomly in a different thing. Like actually mess around with it in a project that isn't something that I actually want to work on. Let's go to here. What am I doing? Scenes, main, entity, components, movement component. Right, let's crack that open. Here we go. How am I handling movement in the C# stuff? Oh, that's really dumb. Okay, that's really dumb, really simple. Gotcha. And then I may as well open up the colonist as well. It is the best in 90% of cases, yeah. There's just some, you don't need to use nodes all the time. That's kind of the conversation. You don't need to use nodes all the time. Stream by YouTube. Mind giving me elevator pitch for your game so I know what's going on. Sure, elevator pitch. Think of RimWorld combined with Warhammer and Oxygen not included. So colonist management, some interesting fluid dynamic stuff, and a lot of stomping of bugs, mostly. Right now, what we're doing is just working on simple things like, terrain generation. I love showing this off. So this looks quite small, but the individual tiles are 64 by 64, so they are actually quite big. This is a massive map of like 62,000 tiles, and it all runs quite smoothly and generates very well, and gives some decent terrain stuff. So right now, working on terrain stuff, working on pathfinding, movement, things like that. Primarily just the movement of a colonist, just to make sure I can get that functioning. It's a lot of conversion from C# to GD script since I wrote this in C# originally. Thank you. The terrain gen, it looks good. It's quite simple compared to a lot of what you kind of end up seeing around like the internet and things like that. Do I even need a class name for this? Yes. Sure. This is going to need an export for a movement component, which I haven't set up yet. That's fine, but it's going to need a pathing array as well. So var. It does, yeah. It does handle stuff like that fairly well. There is later issues that I'll end up having to like run into and figure out. Array or vector2i. Like instead of using a pathing array of vector2i, actually using like a packed array of vector2i. That's something that I was thinking about for some ungodly reason. And this is just in the process function. Hell yeah. Issues have done quite. Yeah, so threading the terrain generation was something that I was thinking about, and then I sat there and kind of thought through, do I actually need to do any threading for terrain generation? I'm not doing chunking or things like that. Like, these maps are already quite large. If memory serves, like, the maximum size of a ring world map is like 256 by 256, each tile being 64 cell, or like 64 by 64, so it ends up being quite large anyway. So I'm not really sure if I need to do that. I might need to do that when it comes to actually object placement. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about, where it's like actually placing of objects and things like that. Just yeah. But that's what we call optimization, and that's not what we do here. Not yet. And now I want to do my input stuff. Let's do that. Input. Oh, that's not his input. Is action just pressed? Pretty sure all of my inputs are named the same. He says nothing, they probably aren't. Clear the path array, not path array. I will say this, GDScript is giving me a lot more cleaner code. That's quite nice. Get it working, then get it working well once I'm part of that. Yeah, 100%. Like, that is prototyping, game development in general. Just figure out your base mechanics, figure out your basics, and if it's running slowly, cool. Then you optimize the hell out of it when you get time and when you get chance. So next thing is modifying with the movement component, but we don't need to do that yet. And that's for actually finding items, which we don't need to think about yet. So what I can do is just call move and slide, and now I need to work on the movement component. Woo! Does this need to be a Node 2D? Technically speaking, yes. I will more than likely end up turning this into like a ref counted object or something. The more I talk about it and the more I think about it, the more my brain sits there and goes, yeah, that seems like a good idea. Did I actually save that into the correct? I did. Alright, movement script, let's go. See, what's worrying me right now is I only really plan to handle the movement stuff today in the stream, and this is I'm getting through this real quick. So I think was that on my camera? No, that's on my colonist character body 2D. Where is my camera? Do I even have that open? I do not. Yeah, pretty much. Just more time to test. Next thing is, so we're going to want a var for the colonist. Yeah, I thought you put character body 2D and gave it move and slide. No, so what I've done here is This is the that's being angry with me. This character body 2D is just its own little separate scene. And then yeah, I just slapped the colonist base script onto it. Do I want to do this the dumb way or the easy way? Oh no, it would feel move and slide on a camera. It would be very interesting. Like this is a thing to like think about, especially with a game like this. That would be really, really cool. But downside to move and slide in this instance specifically is if I go to my my main like script and then I sit there and go, okay, I want to adjust this function. Can I do it like this? I should be able to do it like this. And I want to set that equal to, I don't know, 2.0 or something. So now everything in the engine is running at 2 times speed, which means if you're using something like move and slide, because it's technically using the physics stuff, it is moving at 2 times speed as well. That's painful, especially for a camera. That's actually one of the issues I had. Was originally I was doing a lot of my zooming and things with tweens because it was, I don't know, it just kind of gave a good feeling effect. And then the second I upped the timescale, it just did not go well. It did not go well. And like, yeah, there's the thing there where it's like I should technically go and make my own time management system in this game. I will more than likely end up doing that after I've got a bunch of other things done. That can be closed, that can be closed, that can stay, that needs to stay, that needs to stay, that can be closed. There we go. Right. Can I just export this, or do I just on-ready this? Ooh. Something I've never tried with Godot. Also, I'm using the Dev 3 update. Now, if anybody else is using the Dev 3 update, I need to ask this. How the hell do you get this to work? Because what it says you're supposed to do is like, I don't know, I'll actually give the proper example for this. Was that marked as callable? I don't remember it being marked as callable. And then it was just var toot is equal to like, function 2. But yeah, basically what this does is this will create a button in the Is this refusing to work now? Yep. Oh no, that's refusing to work because I need to do that. And that needs to go above everything. So yeah, what this should technically do, right, is if I go back and I update my stuff, there is this button here. This is really cool, especially when you're doing tool scripts for like generation. It means you don't have to do anything funky with like booleans and things like that. You can just create a button. This is really cool. But this is the exact example that they're actually using with how I've set it up, wording and everything. This is the exact example that they are currently using. And this is the issue that I run into. Now, it doesn't actually matter what I do. Even if I set this up 7 different ways, it still just refuses to do anything. And then it breaks everything. And this is where I may have actually just broke the script, but hey. Yeah, fun little thing that's new to dev. Go back to the code, sure. There you go. Let's see if I can also pull up the thing real quick. There you go. So this is the actual code example as well that they're using. Yeah, there you go. I've tried setting this up in a lot of different ways. I'm not really advanced enough yet to understand most of this, but I want to thank you so much for your videos. Hey, I really, really appreciate that. I hope the videos have been helping you learn and improve. Like, that is programming in a nutshell. It's just learning and improving. Everybody starts from somewhere. Just, yeah, keep working at it. Make sure to try and work on your own projects as well. Don't get stuck in tutorial hell. Like, yes, I make tutorials. Technically speaking, I should tell you to keep watching the tutorials. But no, if you want to become better, work on your own projects as well. Apply what you're actually learning and, you know, move away from tutorials as you go. They tied the lambda to that. So that is the different thing, right? So there's two buttons here. You've got two buttons. You've got this one, and then you've got this one, which is just the lambda for changing the color. So technically speaking, what I'm doing here, this should function. Now I've done this. I'm gonna just do this real quick. I've done this a few different ways where I even just tried naming it, like creating a function and naming it and then creating it as void and then getting it to do something, right? So we'll just get it to print beans. Why not? Because print is its own function, technically speaking, I shouldn't even need to do this. Like the description for this isn't great. Mind you, this is dev 3, right? This isn't something that they've created documentation on yet because it hasn't even really been put into the engine yet. This is just a new feature that's really cool. Or at least I find it really cool because it's quite useful. Yeah, let's... I personally just cannot figure it out. I just cannot figure it out. Now, it's not like it's necessary, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not necessary. It's just, yeah, messing around with it. Sure. Whilst you look at that, actually, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to pull up the Dev 3 version of the branch as well for the actual docs. Was it 4.4 Dev 3? That's a snapshot. That's a bunch of other things. What? Why is this not letting me change from stable anymore? Excuse me? That's great. This has become one of those things now where I'm like hyper-focusing it on it. I don't see the problem. I'm like, yeah, I don't see why this shouldn't work either. Like, the engine's basically saying, hey, value is nil. A callable was expected. So it's like, okay, then that means what I should technically do is go make a callable function that either matches or does something, actually fits with this. I've tried that. It doesn't actually work. So what I'm thinking is it's implemented, but it's not functioning. And might just be something that they kind of change in the future. Or add in the future in a kind of more functiony way. Or I'm genuinely just doing it completely wrong and understanding it completely wrong. That's also on the table. Return, print, or bind. Yeah. Sure, why not? Make sure my everything is updated. Yeah, that works. Nope. Yeah, I'm gonna go one step further real quick, and I'm going to just make sure that things are saving correctly. Now that's probably gonna break my writer, which is fine, but hey. Just one of those little things. Yeah, so now that doesn't print anything. Yeah, now that just doesn't do anything. Let's reset rider as well. I have to do this the dumb way, woo. If you end up using rider, by the way, for your IDE, never click this button. This button literally opens a new project inside of whatever file this is in. Just, yeah, open and then reopen correctly. Just do that. Save yourself some pain and time. Now that's having, yeah, it's just having like issues now. All saved, all updated, all technically working. Nothing. Do dot call after the bind? Sure. Oh. You're a genius. Okay, now new little pet peeve. Why does it not say that? Oh, there is for the Dev 3 there is a small documentation update that you can go and look at. And it does explain how to do this. But yeah, it just doesn't say anything to do with using .call and things like that. So that's interesting. Docs occasionally goof. They do, yeah. They 100% do, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I very much appreciate all of the work people do on the docs. Like, the docs are incredibly useful. These are some of the best docs I have ever worked with, just in general. Like, now, let's remove tool and things like that, because did that update? Oh, thank God. There we go. Yeah, I was working with that for a while last night. Couldn't get it to work. Thank you, though. That's actually really good to know. So now that that works, I will probably end up applying that to my terrain generator, so I can just do it in editor rather than launch it and things. But then again, launching doesn't take long anyway, so let's just do dumb real quick. Let's just do dumb real quick and just get this set up. Just call it parent for now. Next thing is going to be exported float for the speed. Yeah. To be fair, to do buttons in Unity, you need an asset. We'll need to learn XML. Oh, jeez, yeah, that's fair. So Unity is getting better. It is, yeah. No, like you first learned game development through Unity, right? This is a long time ago. I worked with Unity a lot to just make little projects, little games here and there, and it was a lot of fun. But Unity ended up, for me, becoming a bit too cluttered. Like, a lot of people were like, move away from Unity. They shot themselves in the foot. I'm, realistically speaking, Unity is just too cluttered for the projects I actually want to make. The ones that I want to make, you know, are actually usually quite small. In this instance, this isn't going to be quote unquote small. And to be honest with you, I may end up just writing my own like engine eventually, depending on how I want to handle certain things. But yeah, you actually clean the context menu for projects. That's actually pretty good. That is actually pretty good. That's a start, you know. That's a start. 100, and forget my var. 2 million features, that could just be plugins they had in Unity. Yeah. And that's kind of the thing though, like, I'm never going to fault somebody for working with any engine. There are so many different reasons to use just different engines. Half-baked features. That's... yes. That's where it really does become a bit more of like a... ooh, I don't need to do that anymore. Actually, could I... could I just do that? Oh no, let's figure this out, and then I can, instead of doing an export, I can just do an onReady, right? That should either function or break, we'll see. Give access to that just in case. Get path position to position, which needs an object underscore position. That should return void, and then for now I can just pass that out. And they're getting better. Yeah. Like the animator good over Unity. Yes, like if you want to do 2D, I would say Godot. I would. For now, I would definitely say Godot. If you want to do 3D, I would say go to Unreal Engine. Now, that's very loaded to say, if you ask me, because Unreal has so many more complex things and it's just huge. But if you really want like high definition, like the top of the top kind of 3D, Unreal Engine. Now, if you want to just make normal games that aren't trying to break like everything, Unity. Unity is good for that. It's still pretty good for 2D. It's also great, like extremely good for like 2.5D. Take Ori and the Blind Forest, for example. That was, it's technically 2.5D. It's a 2D side scroller where the character model itself is actually a 3D asset with a texture over the top of it, like a shader over the top of it to flatten out, which is really, really cool. And that's what they ended up doing in Unity. The next thing is move to position. See, this is the thing that I'm trying to get better at, where I can talk to chat and actually progress and work on things. That needs to be void, yeah. Right. If the colonist... oh wait, no, it's going to be if parent now, isn't it? Yeah, if parent dot position... lack of animation features in Godot for 3D had me shift my current game concept to 2D instead of 3D. So, one thing I would actually recommend, if you do want to make a 3D game for Godot, I have a little video that I did a while ago where I was just showing off a little bit of like first-person shooter 3D stuff with some animations. Do your animations in Blender and import them into Godot. There's a very specific way of doing it to actually get it to function, but it is something that you can do. But it just, yeah, it involves working with Blender very, very specifically. And that can be kind of annoying sometimes. To the parent dot global position dot direction to the parent dot path array 0. Oh, here, by the way, this was actually the thing that was breaking the move to item thing. This right here, the global position. So I was just using normal position, and that was causing an issue where it would always assume that its current position is at 0, 0 and not where it currently was, which is very weird. So technically speaking, that shouldn't be something that it does. Okay, why are you... oh, that's why you're having issues. Okay. Oh, velocity is equal to the direction times the movement speed I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me that I should be applying delta to my movement speed. Dot. Oof, yeah, that was, yeah. Yeah. Why am I doing it like this? I don't know. I work with 2D styles. That is something that I should do. I think it's something that I should do, but I'm also, I won't say lazy, but that is kind of correct. Yeah, right now, plan is to just convert, right? Convert C# to GDScript and then correct everything, because there is, as I'm going through this, I'm noticing a lot of issues I can already see popping up in the future. And this is cell size, so I'm just doing 64 for now, because magic flow in 64 is hell yeah. Dot path. Dot remove at 0. Special function. Why are you having an argument with me? That's because the path array is a vector 2i or vector 2, not vector 2i. Wait. Oh, wait, no, that's just me being dumb. That's just me being dumb. That work? Nope, that won't work. How have I got this then functioning on this? That's just because I'm being dumb. Okay, let's okay. Sometimes it's just that simple. Sometimes it's just you did a dumb. And you're having issues because... Wait, what? Oh, wait. It has my bones aching seeing that 64 too. So what I'm actually eventually going to do is just like add like an extensions thing that contains the cell sizes and a bunch of other data. Please make 64 the constant for the love of God. I will. I just won't be making it in the movement component. Here, for you, right now, let's see if I remember how to make constants. Cell size. Am I doing that right? Oh, yeah, okay. There you go. Just for you, that's what it's going to be for now. But this is going to be something that gets kind of pulled out and then pushed into a more globalized script of some sort that everything can kind of pull from, or just a class in general. That way I can, because there's a lot of this dotted around the script that I ended up removing, like down here, for example, and there's some other stuff in other places for it as well. One more. There we go. Yes, there is a fix for that, so don't you worry your soul. This is going to need a new underscore path of array of vector 2i's. Void return type, and then it just needs to set the parent path. And I need to rename colonist to parent in that, but let's do that real quick. So one of the things I actually wanted to do, if for some reason you decide to change your cells to 128 or 32, that would be such a big refactor. Well, there is, yeah, like there is certain things that I'm going to be setting up, so when I do decide to just mess with cells and things like that, it just all updates automatically rather than just going through, like, having to update this, basically. Dot path array is equal to the new path. I can already see issues with that function, hell yeah. And get the parent position. It is coming up to coffee time, so I will be taking a small break in a second to... Oh, that doesn't need any parameters, there we go. I will take a small break to grab a cup of coffee because I am going to need one. And that needs to not return void. That's going to need to return a global position, which is going to be a vector 2i, I think. Dot. Ew, what the hell? No. Oh, that's why that's having issues, okay. Yeah, linkages. Headache is going to the background dish. That's good. That is good. Improving of the headache is good. Position divided by the cell size. Now that should technically function. There's just this one thing that needs to be handled, which... yeah, that's the signal, isn't it? That is a signal. Let's go and sort out that signal real quick. Now I'm just going to go and jam that. Ooh, thank you, hun. I am going to go and just jam that in here for now. Get path on get path to position. This is a very, very dumb way of doing this, so bear with me. Component. Hey, look at that, it's registering my event bus and it's not blowing up. That's just good. But it's not. Come on, you can do this. That's annoying, that is always annoying, so let's just do it this way then. Rider, woo. One of the issues I am running into with Rider is it's not picking up my auto loads. That's kind of irritating. Alright. And I'm going to need to pass through the object position as well. Event bus. This is also going to need a... instead of relying on one method. Yeah, no, that's a smart idea. That's probably one of the things I'll probably end up doing in the future. For now, thank you, Han. For now, this is mostly just a, hey, Rider doesn't like to pick up auto loads from Godot. Like if I was just using VS Code or just GDScript in general, this wouldn't actually be an issue. This is specifically a Rider thing. other than that, there are just better ways of doing a lot of this, and I will be moving over to those at some point. For now, I just want to get things working. What is it? A bad creator blames their tools, right? Or a bad programmer blames their tools. And that is honestly quite very true. So back to the pathfinding component. Where did I close it? Pathfinding grid, movement component. No, pathfinding grid. There we go. So the last thing I want is a new function down here called set movement path, and it's going to receive a movement component, set movement component, and an object position of type vector2. And now I'm just going to call a function on that movement component for depth set parent path, and then I need to place through the movement component dot get parent position, and finally the object position, I'm assuming. Yeah, just the object position. Now you're screaming at me. Why? Too many calls to set parent path. Let's figure out why. That's because I'm doing it wrong. Oh yeah. There we go. And that should be the backtrack leads to the most random location sometimes. That thing is cool. Yeah, the IDE for Godot is, for what it is, like objectively, it is solid. Like, it is a solid in-engine IDE. But for larger projects, that's why I'm using Rider. I can do so much more with Rider, especially with GDScript, than I can in-engine, which is a bit wacky, but you know. Good news though, everything's pretty much set up other than the connection for this. So this is where I'm just going to go create an export. Why do I always forget my vars? Why? Why did I close that script out? What am I missing? I am missing you're screaming at me because of Delta. Okay. Stop. If you're fixing to switch to a resource-based workflow, let me know. I am actually looking to switch to a resource-based workflow very much so in the future. Now, it's one of those things where it's not that I don't know how to do it, it's just more that right now it's just I want to just get things, you know, running, if that makes sense. Standalone script to use. Yes, resource orders. Ooh, that's pretty cool. And had any issues you haven't been in complex yet? No, that's the thing. Like, you shouldn't run into any issues. You technically shouldn't run into any issues. It just has some mild inconveniences that pop up sometimes. What am I doing here? Is action pressed? Oh wait, no, I already have that. Wait, that's all done. Everything is done. Everything but done. That is actually really, really neat. That is cool. I don't know if you're in the Discord. If you are in the Discord, if you're not, there's a link in the description. But if you are in the Discord, we should definitely, like, when I'm able to, have a chat and you could show off some of the stuff that you've come up with, because I'm very interested with that. That is interesting. It's very interesting. And on a different note, this should function now. So let's first get the pathfinding grid done. We're going to need to mess with the exports in this. Let's go and just throw that up here for now. Why not? Why am I doing that? Stop that. Also, why am I doing that? What the hell? Stop that. There we go. That's set. So what I'm going to want to do is after I've generated the map and placed the tiles, I'm going to want to generate the grid. So if memory serves, I have that actually set up. Dot to create. No. Just open up the script. There we go. This by the way, this is a thing. This is why Rider to me is beating GD, like the actual GD editor, out right now. This is incredible. Just having two different scripts on one screen is yes. It does things to me. It just does good things to me. Dot setup grid. So terrain size needs to be passed through. And then the cell size needs to be passed through, which isn't being saved here, but I should be able to get to map layer dot tile set dot cell size tile size. Bang, there we go. Why are you screaming at me? Oh. That's why that was originally okay, that's fair. I can just do this then. Tile map layer dot get used cells rec. There we go. That should do the thing that it needs to do. And other than that, yeah, the only thing that's not being called right now is get the movement values. And to get the movement values, I can just do the same thing after here with pathfinding grid dot get terrain movement values, and I can just pass through that dictionary for cell data dictionary. That should work. Yeah, it's that. There's a lot of like quality of life things that you just don't have with the GD editor or the Godot editor compared to something like this. And quality of life when you are programming, especially when you start working on a really, really large project or just a much larger, more complex project, quality of life can really, really save your butt. And time. It saves a lot of time. All right, let's very quickly go and get the one. Let's just slap a sprite to this. Two, let's go and open up the this is just an asset folder, which is very, very this one. Yeah. That'll do for now. Steal that and throw that in there. I want to handle the offset for that real quick as well. And now I should be able to just grab a movement component and then just assign the movement component like that. And that should technically work if I just throw the colonist base in here. And just shimmy that a little bit. Let's see if this breaks. That's going to be annoying. Yeah, that's going to be kind of annoying. So that's working. That's failing, actually. It's failing hard. GD32 for generate map. It is failing to what? Set up the grid, non-existent in base nil. That is because I'm being dumb, isn't it? Yeah. Gotta love being dumb. Alright, so everything is breaking. Breaking good. It launches, but drag camera doesn't exist. Yep, camera drag, there we go. I knew that my variable was wrong. When I was writing that out, I knew that was wrong. There we go. So, new issue is, where the hell is my colonist? You're rendering below everything, aren't you? Yep. Gonna need to fix that. Are you still rendering below everything? Yes. Make sure I'm not blind? No, I'm not blind. Why are you rendering below everything? That should not be a thing regardless. Oh, never mind, I am being dumb again. Don't make me send it to... Oh, there it is. Haha. Colonist functioning. Okay, colonist not functioning. Colonist in thing, but colonist not functioning. That's working. That's not. Get path to position needs to be here. Get global mouse position. Could I just do global mouse position? This is where I need to make sure I'm doing this correctly. The pain of forgetting little things. Scenes, game, entity, colonist. That's the wrong project. It's this one. Yes, the original project name was Necromancer with a Shotgun. Why? I don't actually know. That. Just normal things. Yep, normal things. Okay. Make that constant one more time. Right. Right. What is your function now? Why are you not working? Hmm. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. I am going to actually take a small break for like 5 minutes so I can drink some coffee, or get some coffee, do some chilling for a sec. I will come back and fix all of this issue. I think I know what's causing it, so yeah. Yeah, I will be back. Alright, and we are back, and I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Finish off the whole IDE talk, by the way. If I could give a suggestion, I would say VS Code. I put money down for Rider. Like that's a thing. Is you know, Rider is something you pay for. I like Rider. I like the fact that it has GD built into it now. It comes packaged with a GD extension, which is just really good. And of course, you just get base Rider. It's .NET, so it can handle C# and things like that. It's really, really, really good. Really useful. But go to VS Code if you want to try a different IDE or just this in general. Just, yeah, go to VS Code. So, why is this breaking? Let's see. That's normal, that's normal. That should be being handled correctly. That's the colonist script, right? Yeah. Path, that's fine. I might need to make a new function for this. Moving slides being called. Hi, Anos, how are you doing? Hope everything is going well for you. Hope you're having a good day. I'm being confused. That did hit the breakpoint. Ah, that's good. Okay, so it hit the breakpoint. Let's see. Normal, okay, globals are just the event bus that's being used, XY positions being passed through. Which I'm working right now. Right now I'm working on A-star grid pathfinding, so weighted pathfinding, basically. Most of it's set up already. I'm just running into a small issue of why this is not actually doing it. Signals being emitted. Signals not being listened to. Wait, what? What do you mean a signal's not being listened to? That should emit. I closed my generator. That's okay. Let's fix that. Yeah, there you go. Signal's not being listened to. That's what's actually happening. Event bus stop. Breakpoints, by the way. If you want to know how to debug properly, breakpoints. Breakpoints are just happiness. Get path position dot connect. I want to connect that to set movement path. Now what should happen is that should run. That's right, I'm making a mistake. Stop that, there we go. Okay, now you know, now you're being angry. Or what? No. Do some more. Predator path and base node you can kind of. So now we're just having a setting issue. That's irritating. That is very irritating. So set movement path. Movement component. Why are you being stored as a node 2D? That's not how that should be working. Unless. Wait, no, that's not how that should be working. No point is that considered a node 2D, right? No. Find var maybe? Yeah. What's confusing me is. So. Long story short, invalid type and function, right? Set parent and path in base node 2D movement component. Now, the issue with this is set parent path is. Well, one movement component is not a node 2D, it's a movement component. I cannot convert argument 1 from nil to array. That's fine. That's fine. Parents fine. That's all fine. That's the only thing that's not. I'm gonna have to throw this through right at debugger, ain't I? Yeah. What is giving me a curiosity is this. No, actually. They are all technically extensions of Node 2D. Yeah, that's true. I'm going based off of class, so it should just be pulling from the class and not the actual node itself, if that makes sense. So that's set parent path, and that's get parent position, and the issue it's having is Ryder, did you pick that up? You did not. Of course you didn't. Set parent path on pathfinding grid line 35. So that's actually in the pathfinding grid. Line 35 here. What? Do I like Godot's file system? I don't like it, and use plugins to make Unity or Unreal Engine. I don't mind Godot's file system. I don't mind it. I just kind of work with it, if that makes sense. I've not really thought about improving or just changing it in any way. Let's do something dumb. Let's just do something real dumb here. This is unnecessary as well. It's gonna give me unhappiness. There we go. Still the same issue. Parent path. Interesting. New question and curiosity. I wonder if. No, that's fine. That's fine. I saw your menu tutorial. I've got some canvas layers for the background, but the menu is behind them, and I cannot put it on top with z-index 100. So here. Canvas layer, right? Canvas layer is your very, very top layer. It is the thing that contains all of your control nodes. So what you actually want to do is you want to have your canvas layer as your control node, and or your like container, right? The thing that's actually containing all of your controls, and then you basically just order them in that line, and that's pretty much it. So if I wanted to stick something on top of this button, I could actually quite easily go and do that by just slapping, say, another button on top of it like that. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, basically canvas layer is your container. That's what's going to contain all of your UI nodes. You only need one of those. And then, yeah, you just stick all of your containers, like, well, your actual control nodes or your UI nodes inside of that. You could also just do that. Yeah, you could just set one of them to layer 2. That works too. Next thing, why is this not working? That's triple typed now. So that's unnecessary, gotcha. Which means the movement component that's being passed through isn't actually being passed through correctly, or what's the more likely option is find out. Use Godot breakpointing real quick. Okay, I actually hit the breakpoint. Path array is empty, that makes sense, that's how it should be. That's getting the global position as vector 2i. Now we're getting a valid path. What if it's my base node and I cannot put things? So what I usually do when it comes to UI is you have your primary scene, right? Your main scene or your game scene. That's where all of your everything lives. And then inside of that I will have a bunch of containers. One of them being a canvas layer specifically for the UI, and then all UI goes inside of that. That way you only need one. Why is this not functioning? That is correct, that is correct. Object IDs. Yeah, no. Current point is equal to null. That makes sense. Now the new current point is not equal to null. I may have to do math. Woo. That's working. And then break. Oh! Oh. Oh, I know what's breaking. This is what's breaking. It's not actually returning the parent because the parent isn't being set, apparently. So let's do this the other dumb way, okay? Let's go parent is equal to get underscore parent. And if that doesn't work, I can just export it. And then I can just set that to null. How to use breakpoints? I don't really understand how people use it. Okay, so breakpoints are really interesting, right? I'm going to show you this in the Godot IDE, so actually in the Godot like script editor itself. Let me squish some things. There we go. So let's say I'm having an issue, right? Let's say the setup grid in my ace. Actually, no, that's probably a bad idea. Let's do the movement component here. So this is the movement component, right? This is what's handling my movement. Let's say for some unknown reason, the this path is not being set, right? So set parent path is not being set. That's a bad example. This is why it takes me a while to make videos. Great, we'll just move to position. So let's say this isn't going well, or I want to know what this value actually is without printing it out. What I can do is I can set a breakpoint just before it. Now to do breakpoints, you just, in the empty column here, see the way that red dot is, you just click on it, and then you just run. Now what's going to happen is the second I click a button, it's going to hit that breakpoint, or it's going to have a stack tracing error. Yeah, that's fun. That's very, very annoying. Okay. Oh, is that about? Oh, okay. I just need to do some math. Math is where I'm messing up. I don't like how this is lined. Ew. All of my non-white space. What runs first? Terrain generator. This is going to be the easiest thing to mess around with for this. Okay. Let's say generate terrain. I want to know what the noise height is, right? Because this is something that gets added to over time. I set a breakpoint in for the noise height. I hit play. I hit generate. And now what it's done is it's paused the game, right? It's paused it. It's not running anymore. It's paused it specifically on that one line of code, noise height. And now what I can do is I can actually look at my stack tracer and I can see the stack frames. So what's happening, like what functions are running at what frame. And then I can actually look into my filter stack variables. So you'll notice every time I click on one of these frames, it changes. So specifically for the function generate map or terrain map, which is where that breakpoint is inside of, you can see here I've got a list of all of the variables that it needs to run through to set up correctly. So in this case, it needs a noise array, it needs a Y position, a counter position for my arrays themselves, then an X position, then an amplitude, frequency, a noise height array, and a cell data resource. So now what I can do, right, and this is the cool part of breakpoints, is there are a couple of functions here. There is step into, on the top right, step into, step over, and continue. Now, step into right, will step into a function inside of the function, if that makes sense. So if I have, say, this range here, range is a function, it will step into that and it will run through each individual line that breaks up the range function. So if I'm like showing this off properly, if I go to where I'm actually calling these functions, so right here, generate terrain map, what I can do is I can just click play, click generate terrain, it'll breakpoint. Now, with step into, what it's going to do is it's going to throw me into this function, right? So let's do that, step into. So now it's jumped into the function itself. So now I can go line by line and see how this is actually running and what it's actually doing line by line. Now I can just click, step over, which basically means go to the next line, and then step over, go to the next line, next line, next line, next line, next line, next line. Now, step over is what you want to do if you know how a specific function is running and you don't need to think about that function. So let's get down to the get noise 2D sample or example here. If I step into that, I will step into the function get noise 2D. If I step over it, I will just skip over it because I don't need to know what it is. Now, when it comes to actually figuring out how this is causing issues, and this is why breakpointing is very, very useful. What I know right now, right, and this is a good live example, is I need to remove breakpoints. That's what I know right now. Good example is I hit generate terrain, everything breaks, right? And there we go. So it's breaking. It is saying online, I can just hover over this, on line 36 of set movement path, it is breaking. So what I can do here is go down to line 36, slap a breakpoint in. So, Nico Rage TV, what you might want to do, there is a link to my Discord in the description. What I can basically do is if you go and make a post in that, I can come and actually help you a lot easier rather than through stream, because then you can like share your code and things like that and make life easier for you. So that is something, if you want some genuine help on like setting things up, something you can do. Now, that's the issue. Why is that the issue? That should not be the issue. Oh, correct. What? Wait. Parent, yeah, no, the parent is actually set to something. Okay. Wait, what? Something in here is returning null. I have a feeling I know what it is. That's all correct. I think what's actually happening here is it's off-grid. Yeah, which means there's some division that's not happening that needs to be happening. Because that's just going to keep running through until the point is done, and then it's going to crash out there. Even though the array is actually populated, the IDs and stuff match, what's actually happening here is... I think this is actually just math related. I don't think this has anything to do with the component itself. Interesting. So why is that wrong? Because that should not be wrong. Start position, end position should be fine. Division is fine. I mean, division is mostly fine. What's actually happening is... Alright, this is where the fun stuff kicks in, where I need to actually go through this project. Let's do some code comparison real quick. I didn't save. Okay, so let's cut that out. Let's not cut that out. Let's do this the other way. Let's go. Like that. Set that equal to null. Let's go and mess around with this. Let's go parent. Set that equal to get underscore parent. That should type correctly as well. Yup. That's all normal. Now, global position direction to parent path. That's correct. Direction times movement speed. That is correct. That makes me wonder what my cell size is actually being set to in that helper script there, because that seems like that would be the thing that might actually be going wrong. No. Okay, no. So that's just normal. Gotcha. Oh, that might actually be one thing that's causing an issue. That's fun. Why are you... Stop that. De-indent correctly. There we go. Why are you having issues? Because unindent doesn't match previous, and that's because there is a space there. There we go. That should now be fine. That should now be fine. Same thing. How convert arguable from to array? Okay, so very first thing that you always want to do when you start running into an issue like this is just reload your project. Close out your IDE, reload your project, because sometimes this is just a Godot thing. Sometimes. Of course it's not just a Godot thing. Okay, why couldn't it just be a Godot thing? Okay, so something's not being set here correctly. I'm going to actually do this through the Godot IDE for a second. So that's correct, get valid path is this start position, that's get parent position. I'm going to change this to just position for now. We'll make sure that's correct. Okay, so at some point what's currently happening is that's not being registered as a thing correctly. Ooh, class names are correct, right? Class name, class name, class name. Why am I doing it like that? It's all correct. Why is this not working? Dot set parent path, and now we're going to need a array of vector 2. I'm so mad. This is where typecasting is a problem, right? So in C#, I'm not typecasting this at all. What this should be typecast as is an array. By typecasting being a problem, I mean me not typecasting being a problem. This needs to be an array of vector 2i. Because now it's not actually returning anything, right? It needs to actually return the path array. Dot. It just needs to return the path array. That's it. And then this needs to actually get a valid path. And then it's going to need the movement component dot get parent position, and then it's going to need the object position that gets just passed through in general. Do you have a dream project? Ah, hey, there you go, look at that. Movement. Give me 1 second, I'll actually answer that for you. Ooh, I need to load up this. No, crap. Don't open, please. Okay, thank you. Writer being opened up weirdly. Dream project. Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, this is kind of a dream project of sorts, I suppose. Like, it's something that I really want to work on and something that I really enjoy doing. I won't really go as far as having like a dream project, though. I think this might sound a bit dumb, but I think when people start working on their dream projects, you get really bogged down in the details and it can really cause a lot of issues. I have a lot of things that I really enjoy in games that I'd love to implement together, but that's kind of it, really. There we go, characters moving quickly. Actually, here's something really cool I can show off. So this is the map size, and this is the character size. The character currently is 164 by 64 tile. So it's actually, you know, relatively large character. Whereas this is the entire map, so the entire map's actually huge. But you can barely see the character here. But yeah, there you go. We have a star pathfinding enabled on the project, and it only took 1 hour and 45 minutes. That is not bad. Yeah, I guess logically this is technically a dream project, right? It's a colony sim. I've always wanted to make one. Regenerate and make sure that functions. I do. Grand. Yeah, I've always wanted to make one. I love a lot of the systems and stories. Specifically, I like the stories that colony simulators tend to make. Like games like RimWorld, things like that. Just every time you get into it, you get a different story. Same with Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is literally stories, you know? Everyone has a dream GTA 6 MMORPG in their mind. It's important to keep limits small. Yeah. I think you give yourself more ability to make larger things when you separate dream from system, if that makes sense. Like, I could sit there and say, okay, my quote unquote dream game is a RimWorld game combined with X, Y, and Z. It doesn't tell me what that's actually made up out of, though. Whereas right now, what I'm doing is I want to make a colony simulator. Okay, so I know I'm going to need colonists of some sort. I'm going to need a task management system, a pathfinding system, a terrain generation system, an object system. Like, just separation kind of helps a little bit. And of course, you can get emotional a little bit more when you're working on dream projects, because if it doesn't work, then, you know, like if you launch it and it fails, it impacts you heavily. And truth is, not every game everybody releases will be great. Like, I could go and work on 10 different types of games, and I can guarantee you most of them will probably be considered a failure, and that's completely okay. That's the hard part, being okay with the fact that you put time into something and it might fail. Temporary plugin can help you in task management. I tend to stay away from a lot of the plugin stuff. Like, I like to write it myself. I'm somebody that will reinvent the wheel if I have to, or if I want to. And it's because, like, using plugins is great and it saves you a lot of time, and I can never fault anybody for using plugins. What I will say, though, is learning how to create it yourself gives you far more control over everything you're actually writing. It just takes more time. Like, technically speaking, before I implemented the A-star stuff, I was actually working with my own pathfinding system, and that was miserable. But now I know how it's written, I can at least use A-star in certain ways that, you know, I wouldn't be able to, or wouldn't know how to use them, like before. I think that's it. That's movement pretty much handled. The only other thing is getting items and stuff, like path to point kind of deal. Just keep the timescale at 1 for now, because we don't need to be racking that up. Make a plugin yourself. This is helpful too, if you share it, people. Yeah, I mean, it's something I've thought about doing. Yeah, make a plugin for certain things that people might want to use. Like, I was thinking of just creating a like a UI manager thing for other people. That way, they can just make the UI scene they want, and it can handle it for them. Because I've noticed a lot of people run into that as an issue, or more specifically, input management and hotkey rebinding. That's painful. The system that I made a tutorial on for that is quite complicated, even if it doesn't really look it. And people get stuck on that a lot. So I'm going to be rebuilding that. And if it turns into a plugin, then you can just snap it into your game and have it work, which is probably a better idea. But hey, teaching people how to write it themselves is also great. Terrain. Pathfinding looks good. It's pretty clear. Need anything new. Colonist is literally just one function. That's grand. This needs to be reworked. I'm going to do something stupid. This is going to break my entire project. Let's do it anyway. Immediately. Can I just do this as a resource? So that's the question. Yeah, so get parent stops functioning, doesn't it? Because, interesting. So I would have to do an exported var for parent. No, you couldn't even do that. It would just have to be a normal parent, and you would need to set that through here. So what I'm doing right now is something very, very dumb. This is very dumb, but it's something that I want to kind of work on. So let's go var. Why did I delete that? Let's undelete that real quick. Instead of doing an export. So what I'm doing right now is testing something that I talked about with a friend earlier, where instead of using a node-based system, what I'm actually going to use is a resource for handling movement, because this seems dumb. There we go. Now, what that's actually going to do, right, is it means discard a move. I can actually go to my colonist here, and I can delete the movement component. And technically speaking, admittedly broke. Yeah. And that is because now my colonist needs to set the position correctly. So what my colonist needs to do is func underscore ready. I need to go movement component dot parent is equal to self. That's just cool. That's actually just cool. Yeah, so what this basically does is resources out certain things. So with a component-based system, you will end up having a lot of nodes, right? You'll end up having like 10 different nodes for each component. Oh, yeah, 10 different components, each of them being an individual node attached to one scene. Now, resourcing it like this allows you to basically instantiate it in script as a class and or as a resource and do everything you need to do. But with how resources work, if they aren't being referenced, they don't exist. As in, they just don't exist, right? So you end up saving up on a little, or you end up doing a little bit of optimization. And really cool thing about that is, yeah, the only other thing with this is just setting individual export values, or not even export values. I guess you could do export values. Interesting. I'm going to have to fiddle with this a lot more. This is something I was actually thinking of doing for the tower defense tutorial and kind of showing off as well. This is really, really cool. That is really cool how that actually just works without breaking. And again, I guess it does make sense. It is just a resource component. Or just a movement component. Interesting. I'm not explaining this too well, but hey. That's just cool. That is actively just cool. That makes me wonder what else I can do that with now. I know exactly what I could do that with, actually. Ooh, see, now my brain's going, right? This is where the really, really cool stuff comes in, where now my brain is sat there going, this pathfinding grid does not need to be a node, this could actually just be a resource. And the terrain generator could just instantiate that resource rather than just having, you know, a pathfinding grid attached to it. So I could quite literally just go pathfinding grid dot new. I can move that down to there, and that shouldn't break anything. What I should be able to do, because the pathfinding grid local changes doesn't have anything attached to it. No, it doesn't have any export variables. Then I can delete that, and that doesn't need a pathfinding grid attached to it anymore. And where's my dude? My dude's no longer running. Grand. So that is an issue. Gotcha. That's interesting. So what I might want to do here is set this equal to null and then throw this under here for now. Equal to that. Even though that's pretty much doing the exact same thing. Let's connect to event bus. Why not just map into an enum? That is not a bad idea. That is definitely something that I might figure out in future, actually. Event is not... yeah, enum is not actually a bad idea. New question. Why is that not moving? That should function. That should function. It's not functioning. And I wonder if it's because signal. No, it's not because signal, because this is using a signal and that's working fine. This is something that I'm definitely going to have to fiddle around with. Let's just make sure that is correct. There we go. Right. Now, terrain generator. So what's going to end up happening, right, is at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get random inspiration. I'm going to rework this entire thing and just start using resources over nodes. Because why the hell not? Terrain generator is going to need access to the pathfinding grid again through the export variable. Let's bump that back up to there. Set that equal to null. Let that have an anger fit at me. There we go. Pathfinding grid, and that should all go back to functioning fine now. Yeah. No. Alright. What's the problem? That's the problem. Wait, what? That's fine. Give a second. Save it, play. There we go, Pathfinding's back in the game. Okay, grand. It's moving extremely slowly. That is not even 2 tiles a second, so that's going to need to be changed. But that is going to be now hard-coded. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, this is definitely something I'm gonna have to figure out as we go, like in the future, I think, because would like to use a resource system for components. That does sound good. I do think though it is it's about that time again where I'm done. Like we implemented pathfinding back in the game. It is running mostly smoothly. I say mostly. It's a bad terrain. There we go. Yeah, it moves where I tell it to. New path is being cleared. It's registering each individual movement cost for each tile here every time it walks through. Right now they're all just set to 1.0. That should change in the future, and will change in the future depending on what object is probably on the tile. And you know, if it's like a marsh or something, it should be slow. But I did accomplish what I wanted to. If these players are moving to your mouse, I think you can add a marker when you click somewhere. Yeah, as of right now, this is, once again, it's just getting like the base mechanics in, right? I'm not really too bothered with the visual stuff at the moment, which is why my colonist is just a C. God, this is going to be a large map. Oh well. Yeah, so I'm not really too worried about the visual stuff. It's just getting it actually in at the moment. Just hit me up whenever you want to share that stuff. Yeah, that sounds great. If your name is the exact same as it is on YouTube, as it is in the Discord, if it's not, just send me a message or something. I know it's you. Yeah, we've got everything set, everything sorted. Mostly, I need to figure out what I'm doing next. Probably object spawning system. That's probably next. Is just actually adding things to the terrain. Set that up first, and then from there I can actually make a proper task system that takes in those objects as references and allows the character to move towards them and do stuff with them. That's probably what's next on the list, and that's going to be tomorrow at the exact same time as it was today. But yeah, as I said, there is a link to the Discord in the description. If you want to hang out, please come, feel free. You know, do the subscribing and the liking and all of those things. My algorithm looks really good there. Thank you. Hopefully it's going to look even better as we go. Yeah, thank you all for like joining and chatting. It was genuinely a lot of fun. This really keeps my motivation up and helps me like move forward with my own projects and just programming in general, which is great. So I appreciate it. But yeah, I will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching.